Hello and welcome to the Game House's first episode of Dorm Chat, where we go around talking to the who's who of college esports. I'm your host, Robert Haynes, and joining me for our inaugural episode is Matt McFarland of Miami Esports. Thank you for being on with us today. How's it going, Matt?
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to be a part of this. Always fun chatting with you guys. So excited to be here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I know last time we saw you, you guys had a lot of stuff going on, and that was only a couple months ago. Things have been getting even crazier, right?
Yeah, things have been going crazy for us and just in general for College Esports, NCA. More rumors are starting there. Just
Yep.
everything in general is really popping off. So
Oh yeah, it's been crazy. It's like as soon as we got done talking to you guys, I just started seeing like a explosion of different esports stuff for collegians, and it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to talk to you more about it.
yeah, there's been so many schools that just recently been announced they're starting up programs or they're
Hmm.
looking into programs, stuff like that. So it's really starting to grow like very fast.
Oh, absolutely. And obviously, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little biased towards our Redhawks, towards you guys. So, being a Miami grad twice from there myself, I am. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really looking forward to this chat and having this be our inaugural episode. So, you guys get the little bit of bias from me. Sorry to everybody else who I interview later on. But
I mean, we're the best, so it's what it is. Um,
hey, there we go. I thought about honestly putting the Miami fight song in at the beginning instead of our opening, and my crew told me no. So,
oh,
it's okay though. I forgive them. They don't understand our Red Hawk pride. But
yeah.
but yeah. So you know, it all started. I remember seeing this article myself. Actually, it all started in 2016, right? I mean, I know you guys have been doing stuff before then, but the announcement officially came out in 2016. I remember reading it from the Miami Student, and you guys in a little over a year have gone from that new program to being one of the top collegiate esports programs in the entire country, probably in the entire world, honestly. Um, Again, no bias there. How did you guys get there so quickly?
I think so. How we started off is we started off. Like you said, we actually became the first Division One varsity program in the country, beating out UCI by a few weeks, I believe,
Hmm.
last year. And one of the reasons that we started the program, why I started, is someone named Stelany, who now works over at Blizzard. But she was the president of the Miami University Esports Club at the time, and
Hmm.
was and still is one of the biggest clubs on campus, with over I think 400 members or more
Hmm.
at any given time. And it was basically brought up to the interactive media studies lead, Glenn Platt. She came up to him and asked, "Why can't this be a thing? Why can't varsity esports be a thing on our campus?" And there really wasn't a good answer as to why it couldn't be done. And so those gears just started into motion. We started talking to the varsity, like the varsity side of things, the actual where everything's house of baseball, football, stuff like that.
Yeah,
What's they called? The athletic director over there, and they gave us permission to use varsity as part of our title.
that's awesome.
So getting a blessing of school and things like that. And from there, it's been working to basically gather the team. So having our first tryouts when there's no arena, everything was done online. No one had any idea like what they're getting themselves into. So really, that first big push happened with that wave of the athletic director approval, school's approval, the slight bit of funding from IMS, and just really having students from all over campus really take a risk and dive into the program.
Yeah.
And that first year in the fall, with no arena or anything, our teams. So like when our team for Overwatch, for instance, started off, they were around 2,500 SR. Um, and then I'll come back to this later, but our Hearthstone team was very good from the start.
Yeah.
They got to top 64 in the U.S. immediately.
I saw that.
And then League of Legends started off pretty strong too, but they're sort of out there for a bit. And then immediately heading into the spring, we were working behind the scenes with the library, who's been an absolute amazing asset to us. In some other divisions, and the library decided that they would house us inside King Library, which is like the big main library on campus. And they gave us the room that we call the Thunder Room. And they stripped it all out there, put a big investment to soundproof the whole room, put in dedicated lines, and then helped finance the computers and the chairs and whatnot in there. So we got top of the line computers that I mentioned in a previous interview with you guys. You can go check out that tour that you guys did of the room actually that we're now housed out of.
Yep.
Somewhere on your guys' stuff, I would imagine.
Oh yeah.
And so we opened that up immediately into the spring semester, and that's really what I think has brought our program to the next level is having that room immediately. So going back on like the Overwatch team, just purely playing to be able to play together in that room like, in a cohesive unit, we went from our team having 2,500 average to now having two top 500s on the team that
Jeez,
were on the team from last year, and in our team average being about 4K. Is what we're looking to push into for this upcoming semester.
that's
So just
awesome.
being able to have that dedicated room and that dedicated team behind everything, pushing things along, is amazing. And on top of that too, just to show the university's investment in this kind of scene into gaming, into esports. On top of the arena, there's actually a new room downstairs. It's an IMS lab that has the exact same computers that the arena has, but there's like 24 of them, and anyone can check into it and basically
Wow.
play on these computers and try to get better on like a really good connection. So the university is really pushing hard here to help it out. The library's been a huge help. IT's been a huge help in helping fund things, and obviously interactive media studies like program too. One of the best things too recently. Sorry to keep rambling on about
No,
this,
go,
but
go,
it's
go.
President Crawford himself.
Hmm.
After our Overwatch team won the NACE Invitational, the inaugural Overwatch season tournament, he invited them personally to come meet with him
That's
and
awesome.
congratulate them on their win. So the whole entire university is really adapting to this new sport that's really emerging, and it's been awesome to see, and we're hoping it continues to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is, again, this is one of the few programs I'm going to have a lot more, inside understanding of is that, I've seen that, his tweet from his own account, congratulating you
Yeah.
guys. And I mean, it's incredible how much they've embraced it so quickly. And I have to agree. I mean, that has to be part of the reason why you guys are getting to where you are so quickly. I mean, you guys finished second place in the NACE Invitational for League of Legends versus Maryville in 2016. And let's be honest with
So good.
Clerky. Oh yeah, that team's incredible. And with Clerky, backing them, current owner of E United, I mean, they're gonna be good. So finishing second to them is no small feat.
Mhm.
You guys got Moonbear going off in Hearthstone, making it pretty far in the TESPA series, and you
Yeah.
guys winning, like you said, the inaugural Overwatch event for NACE this year over Georgia Southern 3-1. So that was, I mean, I've watched you guys play in a bunch of different ways, and it just seems like the talent and the love for the talent. I mean, when we got to visit you guys, was like I think September maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, there were people there both days that we went. Throughout the entire day, and it's clear that this is a varsity program. Things that people are putting time into. So,
Yeah. All the
um,
time.
oh yeah, absolutely. I can only imagine. I mean, I don't know. I love it personally. I think it's fantastic. So, you know, with this comes the validity. You guys got the validity through varsity. Being able to call varsity. Now, recently, I believe this October, it was officially announced that you guys are going to be doing a scholarship program starting next year.
Mhm.
What kind of process did you have getting to that point, and what are you allowed to kind of reveal to us, tell us about with these scholarships for young listeners who may be interested in making this a path that they go along?
Yeah, it's in so in terms of other programs. So a lot of other programs immediately come out with scholarships.
Hmm.
And us being the very first program in the country, we didn't really see. No one else had done that at the time. UCI would later come out with it and spend a lot and put a lot of scholarships out there. But coming immediately, we didn't know what we'd be offering. We didn't know what other schools would be offering. And so we just had nothing at this point. We didn't really. We've been pursuing it since the beginning, going after scholarships, whether it's full partials or whatnot. And so we've been trying to go over that for a long, long time. It's been something that's been in the works ever since the founding of the program, and
Yeah.
even honestly before this program actually got the validity of being a varsity program. So it's been a long time coming. So having to go through and talking with people from all across the university, admission, the IMS themselves, just all of that coming together, and finally being able to announce that we are doing scholarships has been huge. As for the actual offerings, I cannot say yet.
Okay.
It's currently in the works. We know that there will be a pool of money that's going to be there. We don't know exactly how much it is going to be yet. And we haven't also determined how we're going to divide it up, whether it's going to be given to members that are currently on the team or ones that would be coming in to help recruitment efforts. We're not
Yeah.
really sure yet. but we will update you guys when we get that information and when we decide upon it ourselves.
Okay, yeah, please let us know because I mean, we would love to know because I know that there are plenty of programs out there who are offering it. I'm not seeing a
Yeah,
lot of dollar amounts yet because most of it's for 2018. So
yeah,
I think adding that scholarship again, I mean, I think it just continues to validate what college esports are, and
yeah,
the fact that you guys again first D1 program, now you got scholarships. There's no way the university isn't seeing this as okay, this is a really big opportunity for them to bring in more students, and with the explosive growth of esports as a whole, I'm sure they did their research. There's I think we recently saw a post about 1.5 billion within the world of esports right now, and being
yeah.
able to tap into that market and get kids to come to Miami for that reason, making you guys a top tier program. That seems like a no brainer to me. I'm sure that that's similar to what your guys' conversations were like.
Yeah, well, one of the big things too is I will be the first to say it up front. We've had a lot of new articles about it, not even locally, but across the country.
Oh
The
yeah,
campus has had issues in the past about things of alcohol, stuff like that. That's really come out, and it's been a big kind of detriment to the university in terms of
absolutely.
publicity. And one of the things that, not to put people in different pots and things like that, but esports people are normally going to be your STEM students and
Hmm.
things like that. The university is really trying to push for. And so having this program, we also been in talks of doing some other projects on campus that would increase basically like that presence of esports and high tier like access to facilities on campus other than just the arena and that lab. Maybe having stuff that are large on campus as well. Having talks like that to really pull in more STEM students because those are the students that are going to be able to contribute to the university long term because it's usually higher salary. It looks better for the university, and oftentimes it'll take that look away from being this party school into a school that's really pushing heavily into STEM, into furthering your education and in your career. So I
Absolutely.
think being able to push in that esports and continuing to offer these things that are so focused on these STEM students and giving activities because Miami, for people that don't know, is kind of in its own little world up there where there's not
Yeah.
much to do unless you go 20, 30 minutes outside of it. And so being
Absolutely.
able to offer more things on campus that what you can do that are away from underage drinking and anything like that is a huge plus university and something that we're pushing for because we see that's such a huge benefit and the university is really starting to see that too now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, being there myself again, I 100% saw, those issues going on, and especially recently. I mean, there have been people dying
Yeah,
from drinking, over drinking. That was something that I rarely ever heard of or saw at all when I was there, and recently it's just gotten out of hand.
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and I mean, you can see it. I mean, again, you can see it. So I think that this is I think that the idea that you guys are bringing there is definitely a good idea. Um, let's transition where it's the 27th today when we're doing this interview, and we're a couple days away from 2018.
Mhm.
What are what are your goals for Miami Esports starting in 2018? What are you guys trying to get accomplished?
We would love to be able to pull in some more. One of the big things is pulling in more sponsors. That's one of the
Hmm.
big ones that we've been looking into. We've been talking to companies all throughout the time of the program, looking to find the best ones, whether it's for naming rights of the arena, for the jersey, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Something big. The second one, this is kind of away from like in-game achievements. The second one is we'll be working on, and hopefully soon we'll be able to fully announce because this has been a long time coming here. We're just finally able to push it through. Our 2018, 2017, 2018 official merchandise, our jersey,
Oh
and
yeah.
our hoodie. It looks amazing.
I
We're just
can imagine.
finalizing everything to be able to push it through. So we'll be announcing that hopefully here shortly in the coming weeks on our Twitter. So that's a big one that we've been looking for a long time. The third one is we really want to be pushing for League of Legends specifically for this for ULaw. We want to be pushing as one of the top teams in the North.
Yeah.
We want to be able to be contesting against the Maryvilles and University of Toronto. We'd love to see ourselves pushed into that top four grouping with those
Absolutely.
teams. We know it's going to be hard to be able to beat the Maryvilles and those, but we've had our team playing for a long time. We have a new analyst this year because
Awesome.
Matt Samuelson, who was the coach last year, actually pushed into a director role alongside me for the semesters here before leaving to San Francisco for this upcoming semester.
Okay.
But we had a new analyst come in called his name is Flea that he goes by, and he's been absolutely incredible. working with the team all the time. And is a huge asset. It's a big shout out to him. And we really hope to be able to push into that slot alongside the caliber teams of Maryville and Toronto for this upcoming ULAW.
Hmm.
I know our Overwatch team is pushing even harder. They want to be able to hit that 4K SR for their team average.
Absolutely.
Um, that I would love to see them maintain the top 500. The players are, and maybe get some more people in there and push further and see if we can get either to and get further than what they did this past semester. They did very well. I think they got to the round. Was it 16? Maybe
I
32.
believe so. I'd have to go check again.
Yeah,
I remember seeing that though.
I'm pretty sure it was the round of 16. And so that's very good for the national pool. See them go further than that, and then for Hearthstone as well.
Hmm.
I know that they are always very strong. We have Moonbear, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
one of the are very very good players who actually shout out to him too. This past summer, he won a test bud tournament. They basically pushed that he was flown out to California, and he was on, and he got to play alongside like Rain and all them. So he's been absolutely amazing too. I could see him going and playing pro in his free time after he graduates here. But I would love
Absolutely.
to see since we have two teams this year, to see one of those two, to see both those teams go further, and would love to see them potentially reach live finals or top eight. So we have a lot of big aspirations for in-game play, but I think we can pull them off, and I think the teams have been working really hard to get there, and I think we'll be able to see some of those aspirations come to fruition here this upcoming semester.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's again, it's incredible to see how far you guys have come in such a short amount of time. And I mean, like you said, I mean, you have some of the best players right now in collegiate esports. I was looking some stuff up about you guys, and one of your Overwatch players literally was the entire highlight video from that entire from that. I think it was the TESPA tournament that they were in.
Oh yeah,
And
Glass Infinite.
yeah,
Yeah,
Glass Infinite. That's right. Yeah, and he was. I mean, oh my God, they were like, yeah, we're gonna make a video of highlights from the tournament, but it's pretty much just Glass Infinite, and it's like they gave somebody else the top spot, but I almost feel like they probably should have just given it to Glass, just because of the fact that the one that they put as number one was probably not the best one, but they couldn't just put Glass Infinite in all five. So
yeah.
you know what I
Well,
mean?
what's interesting for Overwatch too, is we had one of our players from last year who Glass and some of our other DPS always say that he can sometimes do better than them and is incredibly good. He was basically semi-pro for TF2 and things like that. He
Hmm.
had a ton of time, and he's incredible Farah and a lot of different roles. He's amazing. Stepped away for academics this past semester. He had just had a really tough class load,
Yeah.
and the rumor on the street is he'll be back for this upcoming semester, and
Wow.
he will help to bring the team to the next level again.
My
We have a
goodness.
very very young teams across the board. Glass Infinite and everyone on that team is essentially sophomores. And then we have
That's
alongside
huge.
that our League of Legends team is mainly sophomores as well. We're a bit over older on the Hearthstone side of things too,
Yeah.
but that's one of the bigger reasons too why we pulled the other two teams this semester is so some of the younger kids in the program can learn from the older, more experienced like Moonbear and things like that.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we have a pretty young program in general for the players, and so I think we'll see a lot of growth here this semester itself and the next few years as well.
Well, that's awesome. And, like you said, you guys have plans for 2018, but you're not the only ones. Apparently, in the last week, Akron University, a fellow Mac school, recently started a varsity esports program, and I think it was ESPN that tried to point them out to you guys. Do you think that they're going to be a rival to you guys just because of traditional sports, or not? I mean, is that going to be a thing for you guys, or do you not think so?
Um, yes and no. I think it will be. I think we'll try to drum it up as a rival. On a note is alongside of that, I think we're going to see more and more teams from the MAC announcing soon.
I think so too.
I know that we've sent up representatives to the MAC conference to talk about esports to presidents of all the universities recently. I think I'm allowed to say that. And we've been talking, and I'll be talking, and they were talking about our esports program and how other schools get involved and things like that. So I think we'll start to see more and more MAC schools and schools out of this area put together programs
Okay.
for the reasons that we talked about before. It's really good for some students, et cetera, et cetera. And so, yes, I think MAC just in general, it's really fun to play along that typical sports route of they're the rivals from our conference, things like that.
Hmm.
So I would love to see the rivalry start there. But I know from just talking with players in the past, those rivalries really start from like competition.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's in people in Discord, I know for a fact in some of the different Discord channels, and especially like Overwatch, people like to talk a lot of smack amongst each other,
Oh
and
yeah.
some enemies get made, some friendships get made. For instance, I know our Overwatch team in Michigan State's Overwatch team love scrimming each other all the time. Two really good teams that always scrim. Great people in Michigan State. They always do very well. So those rivalries and friendships get made by themselves just naturally in esports. So we're of course gonna try to drum along that Maca fight song or whatnot. But a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
rivalries get made by themselves in esports. For us, Maryville might not see it, but we see Maryville as someone that we want to take down.
Oh yeah.
Not because of like anything they've done to us in the past besides beat us in NACE, but because they're just a very good school, and we want
Yeah.
to see amongst what we think two top of the tier programs for varsity sports. We want to see those teams duke it out. So I know like teams like UCI and Toronto always duke it out, and they can sort of consider themselves rivals. So like all the top programs look to try to consider themselves rivals with the other top programs. So of course we're gonna try to drum along the MAC route. But we want to see us be able to compete against other big schools, sort of
Absolutely.
like Alabama and OSU do it for football,
Oh yeah.
Michigan, OSU football. Just drum along because they're two big schools essentially. Well,
Absolutely.
and OSU and Michigan's Big Ten, but
Oh
same
yeah.
thing. Uh,
Well, I mean, now I'm gonna put you on the spot, man. I mean, who is the rival for Miami right now? If there is a team or I guess a program out there, because right now we don't have conferences or anything like that.
mhm.
So who is the program throughout throughout you guys that you would say, hey, this is our biggest rival?
Oh, um, I don't know if there's one
Okay,
because
that's fair.
you see top teams out of all different games.
Yeah.
The teams that we compete with, like we lost to, I think it was Colorado College in like the top eight or whatever for Hearthstone last year,
Mhm.
and I know for Hearthstone, and I know the guys really wanted to beat them this year, but I don't think we played them.
Yeah.
So things like that happen. I know out of like Overwatch, we see. Just some of the top North schools like Toronto, Michigan State. Michigan State we see as friends, but also rivals in the sense we always want to beat them when we play them.
Mhm.
So teams like that, it's sort of like the top teams we see in each like in like the North for our school. That's the teams that we rival. I think the League of Legends team would consider Maryville a rival,
Absolutely.
and I think they would love the chance to play against University of Houston again.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Oh yeah.
after we had a tough loss to them there in AVGL. But I think those rivalries just sort of happen from like the past big matches,
Absolutely.
and we've been lucky to be in in a lot of them. I think GSU would consider us rivals, and I
Mhm.
think we would consider them rivals and hope to see them back for NACE next year,
Mhm.
which is actually an interesting point we could talk about also.
Yeah.
That some of the about like how NACE received a sort of cease and desist letter for League of Legends that's not going to be allowing them to
Really?
play.
By
That they're
Riot?
not yeah, that won't be allowing NAC to host another season. It seems like
Wow.
that came out. That letter came out a couple weeks ago. We received a message about that, and then also at the same time, Blizzard announced the community basically licensing for tournaments. So
Yeah.
it's possible that we might see NAC not have another tournament for Overwatch either. So
Which
it's
is
very interesting
interesting.
to see where that stuff might come from because it seems like a big because I know Riot really wants to push ULA and that could be
Mhm.
why they're stopping NAC. But Blizzard themselves or Tespa, and Tespa's usually been a very hands-off approach to it.
Oh yeah.
So it's interesting, but yeah, just threw that out there, I guess.
No, that's okay because I mean, that literally leads into my next question for you. There are people who want the NCAA. There are people who don't want the NCAA. What do you want? You personally, what do you want?
Um, I would love to see NCAA stay very far out of it.
Okay.
I feel like it's a very outdated system. I think esports has always been very grassroots, and if you have a really good production company, and they've always been the one that reigns supreme there. You see that very well with like CS:GO, where it gets thrown around from MLG to ESL and back and forth to DreamHack. All the big tournaments get thrown around. It's really who can push out the best product gets like that bid. Um, and I feel like you've really seen that like in the collegiate esports too. A lot of people don't really notice that, but like there's AVGL tournaments for ULaw and for for League of Legends and ULaw and AVGL and all these other things. But
Absolutely.
ULaw reigns supreme because it's just the best produced tournament in terms of its administrators, things like that. Just from what I've seen personally, not speaking for the program or anything. And the same thing for like TESPA. TESPA usually ranks for ring because their admins are just very top notch and they're always very, very professional. And so these programs, instead of like for like Overwatch, there might be like the tournaments that are like on one side of things or like run by one company, other company. Usually TESPA reigns supreme, and that's because there's the best what they do.
Yeah.
And then recently, NAC Esports has been doing very well production too for the varsity side of things.
Oh yeah.
And none of that would have happened if we had NCAA. TESPA would unless they partnered with TESPA, it would really be locked down. If you're committed to NCAA, you're only doing NCAA stuff from what you've seen in the past. So I like being able to pick and choose what tournaments you want to go into, what leagues you want to join, and letting just the best rise to the top, and what leagues stay and what leagues like fade away. I think NCAA would have way too many guidelines and restrictions. This prize pool, like the prize pool from different tournaments they can go into, would cease to exist. Players right now can currently be a pro and still playing some of these tournaments, and so they can receive prize money on the side on top of the actual scholarship funding. And if there was NCAA, that would also not happen anymore.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of other like restrictions and guidelines that are like imposed on the school that are unnecessary for esports. And so I think not having NCAA really involved is the best way for the future. I can't see what 10 years would look like if NCAA might change some of the rules and have a really good system that they look to implement for esports. But how they've been looking at recently and how esports and how NCAA is implemented for other like traditional sports just wouldn't fit esports at all.
Yeah, and I mean that brings me then to this, kind of branch off question though, because I agree with you. I think the NCAA has way too many regulations, especially. I mean, esports people. That's something that we don't like. We don't like a lot of regulations. I mean, that's just how it is. But then what, in your opinion, would be the best way for college esports to get organized? Because the biggest complaint that I've seen and people who I've talked to, not only within the scene but just in the esports scene in general, the thing with the NCAA is, though, you see as one area who's the best. Who is ranked where. There's a system for playing certain people on a schedule. So, like, you said you guys don't play Colorado U this year. You guys would maybe be able to schedule games like that, do those kinds of things. How best, what would you say would be the best way to organize? Or do you think that there doesn't need to be that, and that needs to stay the way that it is?
So I love how NCAA does scheduling things like that. I think that's a great idea just for anything in general. But it's the positive of that is way outweighed by all the negative aspects of that NCAA would potentially bring, all the regulations. But I would love to see NACE as it continues to grow, have schedules come out and you can schedule different conferences and things like that. I think the NACE when it gets bigger, it's going to have to make a decision. Are they going to randomly divide up teams? Are they going to go by region? Are they going to look to schedule people that are traditionally conferences together, things like that? And I'd love to see them sort of break it down how TESPA does in the different regions. But how TESPA does it is it does it by the Swiss system, where if you're 2-0, you're going to play another 2-0 team. If you're 3-0, you play a 3-0 team. If you're 2-1, you're going to play a 2-1 team. And I like that in the sense that it's a very, very good competitor aspect side of things, where it's very fair, it's very even. You don't have like one conference like the Big Ten for how it is like in football and like that is very, very strong, where the MAC's like weaker, and you could have like different if like for instance like the NACE, how they would structure it was like 2 teams coming out of every region. It would be kind of unfair if everyone was stacked in one area. So it's sort of having to figure that out. But I would love to see that kind of scheduling in play, but alongside of like the Swiss play that TESPA has. I think NACE could look to be that sort of more consistent scheduling aspect side of things. I'd love to see that. Whereas the TESPA is the more just like very esports, just backed Swiss system, blah blah blah. That's usually been. I think there's a place in the collegiate scene for both. Yeah. And I would love to like keep it that way.
Yeah, and I think that I totally agree with you, because I think that I mean, we're seeing it now with franchising, right? I mean, I think college esports will eventually go down a similar route to traditional sports, but I think that it's still early on, kind of like it was for the original esports professional scene. So yeah, I totally agree with you. I would really like to see another group really take hold of it, because we're seeing all the corruption in football. We're seeing all the corruption in basketball, scandals, you name it. I mean, the NCAA has their hands full, and I don't want to see them put those hands in the cookie jar of esports personally. But who knows? I mean, maybe they would do a good job. Maybe they'd have a
Yeah.
good plan in place. But it sounds like you and I are both in agreement, at least in the fact that there should be some organization in the next few years, probably.
Yeah, I think I want to see an organization take place that really solidifies the like how just solidifies that one main league. But
Yep.
I don't want to see anything. I don't want to be locked to that one league.
Yeah.
I want to be if I, because you're not traveling those 2 days a week to a different like school. You're
Hmm.
playing at home. You can play in these different leagues. If your players want to play them, they should be able to play in them. And so I think just making sure it's very regulation free. If you want to play in this league, this is the main league, but you're not required to play in it. Is the direction I like to see it going.
Absolutely. So I mean, with that, we've talked a little bit about the next steps for esports. What do you see going on? We saw. I don't know if you got to a chance to watch it, but I watched the inaugural League of Legends Pro Draft, which was awesome. It was super cool. I watched it with one of my buddies who's a traditional sports guy. He's kind of getting into the esports scene, but he watched it and he was like, "Dude, this is great. This is really good." Um, do you see, in a similar sense, the way the traditional sports are going? Is it going to be like that for college esports, or is it just gonna kind of end for a lot of these kids, or I shouldn't say kids, but a lot of these, guys and gals, um, at the college scene? Is it going to end there, or do you see, pros getting drafted from college, kind of like they do in traditional sports?
I don't think we'll ever see that. I think we'll see a few players be able to go pro out of collegiate, but I think in terms of just esports in general, you always see people that are a lot younger, very well performing, and if someone's good enough from a young age, 16, 18, they're going to be picked up very quickly.
Yeah.
And if they're good enough to be there, I think we'll see some kids that go under the radar are really good, but no team wants to take the risk on them. In the pro side of things, and they'll get picked up by a collegiate team, and then maybe after a year or two, you've seen this at Maryville, things like that. The team that people get picked up by a challenger team.
Oh yeah.
Some of them, I think, it's like RMU has had people picked up for
Yeah.
the actual LCS before. I think you'll have some that like fly under the radar and eventually get picked up through collegiate, but I don't think there'll ever be a big like draft oriented out of collegiate
Hmm.
because the esports career starts at such a younger age than any other traditional pro sport does, because that's just the way the system's set up. I mean, and the NBA, you have to at least play 1 year in college for out of the U.S. And then for NFL, you have to play I think 3 years.
I believe
And
so.
there's no system in place that requires you to go to college for esports. And oftentimes it's better, your reflexes are better, and you're just a better player going in younger. And so I think we'll see not people coming to college and then going pro, but people that possibly want to go pro and then on a scholarship come back and get their degree. We might see
Okay.
that, which would be interesting for
That would be
the
interesting.
collegiate scene. But I don't think we'll ever see like that like funnel how it traditionally is for sports happen, just because kids get picked up at such a younger age and there's no regulations in play that require you to go to college.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's really interesting. I do wonder if, if the NCAA were to get involved, if they were to say, hey, you got to go to college for 1 year before you can, or I guess it wouldn't even be them. It would technically be Riot and, and Blizzard.
Yeah,
Um, because part of the problem right now is that, until you're 18, you can't make that decision on your own. So how many kids are, having to wait till they're 18 to kind of, go pro if they want to? So, and we're going to have to see, I think franchising is going to show us, if things really do end for you when you're like 27 or 28, as an esport athlete. So, um, I don't know, man. All the uncertainty gets me excited personally. I hope that you're right. I would love to see some people go back. That because wouldn't it be great to see like I don't know,
Dyrus.
Dyrus or Doublelift go back to like, oh, I'm gonna go to Miami. I'm committing to Miami University for college
Yeah,
esports. I'd be like, heck yeah, that'd be awesome.
yeah, it'd be
So
really cool.
that
I don't know. Like, a lot of people like have jobs straight out of the scene, things like that. So you might not see everyone do it,
yeah,
but I'm 100% believe that we will see someone that is a major maybe not major, but as a previous LCS player, come back and play
Mhm.
for a collegiate team on a scholarship the next few years.
Yeah, I think so too. So now it's the time though to give some advice. For these high schoolers. I was recently student teaching at a high school up here in Ohio. Shout out to Fenwick Esports. Um, you know, for high schoolers who want to get involved in college esports right now, what would your advice be for them? How do they get involved? What do they do? I know there's a new esports recruiting app that I saw recently that has come out. I don't know if you guys use that or not, but what would you tell them? What do they need to do to get involved?
Um, Start talking. So in the esports scene, everyone's always usually an open door. You can come talk to them. You can
Mm-hmm.
see them. You can find their information on Twitter, on esports pages that have content information. If you have a school that you're interested in, first and foremost, if you're going to collegiate esports right now, you're most likely not going to go pro. Just going to say that in general. You're most likely not going to go pro straight out of college. So to be honest, look for a program, a school that you want to go to first for academics, and if they happen to have a esports program, start talking to them, reach out to them, find who that contact is, and like a director in that program who runs that program, and reach out to them and say, hey, I'm a good player, I'm interested in going to university, but I would love to also like come out for your esports program and get that train going, that just train communication. And if you have just in general a sense of what you want to do for university, like major things like that, start researching universities that have an esports program and see if their major academic fields align with what you want to do. Because you should really focus on the academic side of things first. And if they have an esports program, that's a huge plus. Because unless you are a top 500 Overwatch player, top 25 each and every season, or you're always pushing challenger, you're not going to usually go pro from collegiate. But there's a chance. You never
Oh
know.
yeah,
It's
absolutely.
happened. But really push for the academics and find that university that aligns with what you want to do career-wise, but also as an esports program. And then just start making that communications, tell them you're interested in, and see if they offer scholarships, things like that. Because it can always happen. And it's not, and everyone's looking for players right now. Everyone is looking for really good players. And so you're never going to have someone say, no, we don't want to talk to you. So just make sure you're very persistent and just find that contact and start reaching out.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, Matt, I just want to thank you for the advice, first off, for all those younger viewers. And secondly, I just want to thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. It's always great to talk to you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome to always have you stop by Miami or hop on the call. So thank you for having me. It's always good talking.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't worry, we'll be back. I'll be around probably next semester sometime. I want to run around, see what you guys are up to. Maybe come to a game, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Maybe one of those esports jerseys. I'll come around and buy one because
yeah,
I'm not even gonna say probably. I'm definitely gonna have one in the next whenever you guys release one.
yeah. We're gonna
Um,
try to put them in the bookstore too. So we've been
oh,
talking to them.
buddy.
So yeah,
Oh, buddy. Well, I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty excited. So yeah, I mean, I guess thank you to everybody who will be watching this or who does watch this. You can find us on YouTube by searching, just for the Game Haus. We're gonna have these videos coming out as consistently as we can get interviews. I can say that I'm in talks with a couple other universities to try to get their esports directors on here, like Matt. Um, and remember, you can also find us on Facebook or Twitter. Remember, our name is HAUS. You can see it in the logo right above me. Links will be below as well for those of you watching on YouTube. And thank you for watching this episode of Dorm Chat. And from our house to yours, have a great day and be on the lookout for our next interview.